it. But on the way to the garage, I met a man selling bananas. Now, bananas were few and far between, but I hadn't got any actual money, and the man said he would take some coupons. I gave him 1, 2, 3 coupons, and off I went with my large bunch of bananas. I counted my coupons and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coupons, and then met a man selling nylon stockings. I gave him 1, 2, 3 coupons, and he gave me these. I counted my coupons and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coupons, and then met a man selling some Parisian silk underwear. Would you like to see that? Have I counted my coupons yet? I can't remember.
Not an eye after that.
Haven't I? Haven't paid for them yet? Okay, I gave him 1, 2, 3 coupons. And off I went. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coupons. No, I didn't. I had 1, 2. I had paid for them.
Yeah.
Do you mind? I had paid for them. I've got 1, 2, 3 coupons. You're making me nervous. I went to the garage and asked the attendant to fill me up. He filled up my Jeep and asked me coupons, and I said, what, with 1, 2, 3 coupons? He said, no, I want 6. I said, what, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coupons. I told you not easy to work with. What? I was going to say, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I'm here to educate and entertain. I'm going to tell you a story. A little music maestro. The date is 1943. The place is Thailand. The British prisoners of war are building the Thailand-Burma Railway Bridge. Unknown to them, the Allies are just about to blow it up. You see, they have a cunning plan. It's similar to an ordinary plan, it's just a bit more cunning. It's going to take 3 bombs to blow the bridge. 1, 2, 3. They have 2 problems. Only 1 officer to plant the bombs, and only 3 old-sized fuses left. You see, there's always a point to it. You see, they had a short fuse, they had a medium fuse, and they had a long fuse. The short fuse was so short, the officer might blow himself up. The long fuse so long, it might be found by the enemy and deactivated. They took all 3 fuses to the bomb disposal officer, but he refused to help. Honestly, that's the only joke we've got. Here we go. He refused. And all 3 fuses were now the same size. Only they realised they had a problem, because if you lit the first fuse and then the second fuse, by the time you lit the 3rd fuse, the first one might have gone off. So in fact, after all, he was probably better off with, are you ready? The short fuse, the medium fuse, and the long fuse. Terry Seabrook, a very, very great friend of mine, and this is going to be my tribute to him. You see, when you pick up a newspaper and get on the train, I happen to live near the end of the Met Line, and it's fine when you're at the end of the Met Line because you can pick your newspaper up and there is plenty of space to read your paper. But of course, as you go further and further, oh, this is going to be horrible. As you go further and further down the line, the busier and busier the train train becomes. And as the train becomes busier, so there is less space for you to read your paper. This is really going to be horrible. Here we go. But now, you set off at Croxley, you go to Moor Park, you're heading yourself onto Harrow-on-the-Hill. Now, Harrow-on-the-Hill, you'll lose a few people because they're going back the other way, but the others will come on. And again, it gets busier and busier and busier. If this works, I'm going to get such a round of applause. There we go. Harrow-on-the-Hill, we're on the fast. We're on the fast, we're heading straight down to Finchley Road, because frankly, the sooner this journey's over, the better. There we go, and then we're slowly but surely, pulling in through the arches of Baker Street. Terry never had any trouble with this bit. Here we go, so we're heading into Baker Street, and of course at Baker Street, it's fine, because a few people are getting on, a few people are getting off. I can get to the Magic Circle, ready at 7:30 on a Monday night. Okay, that's some serious stuff over with. It's time to win the war. How are we going to win the war? The first thing we have to do is learn to shoot straight. Now, I can see I have some small people in the audience. And this is going to be a beautiful little game for some small people. Did I see some small people over in the top corner? Oh yes, there they are. Come on girls. Up you come, let's give the girls a big round of applause. Hannah and Rachel, you watch me get that wrong in a minute. Hannah and Rachel, now Hannah and Rachel, we are going to do what's called a little bit of target practice to see who's going to shoot straight. Now, one of you is going to look after the target, and one of you is going to shoot. Now, I'm assuming you haven't done a lot of quasar. No. Cowboys and Indians? No. War films? No. Okay. Hello Kitty. Welcome. Okay, what we're going to do is, Hannah, would you like to do the shooting? In which case, you need to get your guns out. Now, what you do is, if you had pockets, it would be more helpful, because what you've got to do is you've got to get your guns out like this. Now, you've got a choice. You can either shoot one gun twice, or two guns once each. What do you want to do? Two guns. Okay, so you're going to stand over here. Now, the first thing we've got to do, Hannah, is we've got to make sure that we've got the sound effects right. So it's going to be two loud bangs. Now, don't point them at your father. Up there. Excellent. Now, what you're going to do for me is you're going to go bang, bang, but really, really loud. Okay. Have you noticed how I slipped into anti-tuning now? There we go. Here we go. So, bang, bang. Bang, bang. No, that's not bad. Now, I just want to check to see if Rachel can do it any louder. So here's one gun here, here's one gun here. Nice and loud. Bang, bang. I think we're better off at the target. Here we go. Now that is lovely. So what we need to do is we need to find ourselves a card. So we've got a nice little pack of cards here. So Hannah, just point to the back of one. That one there. Okay, that is lovely, Hannah. Now, I don't need to see this, but just remember the card, okay? Remember the card is going to go back in the pack. Now, Rachel, you are going to look after these. Now, this is a very, very clever box. Okay, we have to be very, very careful. So come over here, Rachel. You're going to hold these, Rachel. Now, your sister's going to shoot them. Now, if your sister misses like that, we're in trouble. We need to hold them up so that she doesn't hurt you. Okay. Now, the very, very worst you're going to get, Rachel, is losing your fingers. Much, much better than being hit somewhere in the middle. Now, what's going to happen, Hannah, is when you shoot, your card is going to go up in the air. Now, I'm not quite sure about the ceiling. It might go through. But your card is going to fire in the air, hit the ceiling, touch the floor. We're going to pick it up and give you a round of applause. But you've got to shoot loud, otherwise the trigger won't work. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? All you've got to say is nice and still, Rachel, nice and still. Two, that's a bit close. Back there, back there. This thing's dangerous stuff, you know. Okay, two loud bangs. Bang, bang! Did you see it go? No. Neither did I. Cheap version. Let's have a look, Rachel. Let us see if we can find her card. Oh, hang on. There's a card. There's a card with two demonstrate, and being one step ahead of the enemy. Now, how are we one step ahead of the enemy? We need to know what the enemy is thinking. Now, there's two ways of doing this. One, steal an enigma machine. Secondly, we use a little psychology. Now, let me explain the psychology. For instance, think of a number between 1 and 10. Now, it should be impossible for me to know what number you're thinking of. But, maybe not magicians, but most people most of the time will initially think of the number 7. Especially as we just had the 7 of hearts. You see, so you'll be thinking of the number 7. Now, if we move the numbers to, say, 2 and 11, it should not be possible for me to know what you're thinking. But everybody think of a number between 2 and 11. Now, most of you, most of the time, will be thinking of either number 5 or number 9. See, it's close, isn't it? But the larger the number we use, the harder it becomes. So, for instance, I want you to think of a number between 3 and 21. 3 and 21. Look it into your mind. It doesn't matter what anybody else is thinking or what your neighbours are thinking. Look it into your mind. Now, I need to choose one person at random for this. So the way we're going to do this random selection is by asking everybody in a moment to stand up, and I've got some elimination questions for you. Those are kind of sit-down-if questions. So those that are able, please stand. That's lovely. Question number 1. Sit down if you were alive during World War II. Were you alive in World War II? Not quite, okay. I just didn't want to keep people on their feet for too long. During the war, during the war, there were a lot of shortages. Nothing was wasted. Sit down if you've ever eaten tripe. Now, I was going to say horse, but apparently that is not horse. And that was even funnier when I wrote it. Okay, sit down if within the last 5 days you have watched a war film. Okay, we're slowly eliminating people. Sit down if in the last 5 days you have had sex. Sit down if, in the last 5 days, you wish you had. Stay where you are, Adam. Stay where you are. Adam, no, you can put it on. You can put it on. That's not stay where you are. I'm going to stay standing. Adam, please, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to give me a number between 3 and 21, but remember, the higher the number you go for, the higher the number you go for, the further down the pack I've got to go, and the further away we are from the bar. Okay, give me a number between 3 and 21.
21.
Oh no, come on, be reasonable. I said something between 3 and 21, somewhere about halfway I think. Okay, 15, here we go. Number 1, number 2. A much lower number would have been helpful. I told you, if you want to get to the bar, it's him. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The 15th card is the 10 of clubs. Now, nobody could have known that today we would have chosen Adam. If we'd have known it, we'd have chosen Audrey instead. Nobody could have known that Adam would have chosen the 15th card after some persuading. And nobody could have known that the 15th card was in fact going to be the 10 of clubs. But I here an envelope. Sorry, Adam, you may sit down. I have here an envelope, and the envelope is one card. And remember that in magic, anything, if we use psychology, is possible. But I am allowed to leave the phone. Now, to finish, I'd like to tell you a story. And it started on Facebook. On Facebook, I was showed a poster of a film. And I looked this film up. I think Jeff Edison put it up there. And all will become clear soon. It was a film about a man called William McGee. William McGee was a writer. And he had a bet with a friend that he could finish his book within 24 hours. So he went off to a hotel and asked the landlord not to be disturbed. But needless to say, he had a string of visitors. Each of these visitors had in fact been previous residents of the room, and each claimed to have left something behind. What had been left behind was something in a box, not dissimilar to this. So, McGee's in the room, he's writing his book. The first person comes along with a key. Now, obviously, I could try and open this, but could I have somebody to help me? Who would like to come? Peter, do you want to come and help? Give Peter a big clap. Peter, basically, you're going to play the part of the visitors. So the first visitor came along, put the key in the lock, and tried to open the box. And needless to say, it didn't open. If you just pop that in the glass, that's lovely. And here are the other keys. Peter, if you'd like to try all the keys in the lock for me. So what happened was this. McGee went to the kitchen and made the first visitor a cup of tea. And then the next visitor came, and the next visitor, and the next visitor. And as each of these visitors came, they each had an excuse to go to the box. But none of the keys fitted. We're getting there. That won't work. Okay, that's lovely. Of course they don't work, because each time they'd been in the room, the lock had been changed. And of course McGee had the key that fitted. He put it into the lock, he turned the key, he opened the lock and took the padlock off. He was just about to open the box to see what was inside, when the visitors all shouted, "Stop!
Stop!"
Excellent. And he quickly put it back on again. So, of course, curiosity got the better of him. It's all right, we're nearly done. Curiosity got the better of him, and he asked what was in the box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? No, you know what's in the box. He asked what was in the box. And in the box, he was told, was an old masterpiece. It was worth more than silver and gold. People had actually died trying to get hold of it. People had died trying to merely hold it. So McGee said, "Well, who does it belong to?" And they said, "Well, whoever's got the key." And he thought, "Hang on." He said, "I've got the key." And the visitors said, "No, we want ours back."
We want ours back.
McGee was also a musician. And he'd been listening as these keys had gone back into the pot. And as each had gone in, there was another little tinging sound. And he wondered whether he could actually remember the sound of his key against everybody else's, and could in fact give the keys back to the visitors. So we're going to rerun this experiment, Peter. You take the keys. This is what we're going to do. You're going to tap each key. Please don't drop that particular one. Here we go. Each key you're going to tap on the side. Yes, and I'm either going to ask you to keep it or reject it. If you reject it, pop it to one side. If I say keep it, I might try it again in a moment. Okay. Not that one, I'll reject that one. Key number 2. No. No, that wasn't McGee's. Key number 3. Hang on, a little bit more gently. Okay, let me put that one to one side, that's impossible. Number 4.
Next one.
No, too high. Number 5. No, too tinny. Number 6. Gently, gently. Yeah, keep that one. And number 7. No. So I've got 2. Now I want you to tap them, choose one left, one right. Tap left, tap right. Please don't use the same key twice, it'll confuse me. Okay, left one first. And the right one. I'll take the left one, reject the right one. So he gave the keys back to the visitors. We've got 1 key left. 1 key left, which McGee said was his. He sent the visitors away, but again I'm going to keep you purely to open the box. He put the key in the box, opened it up. The lock opened. He dismissed the visitor, gave him a big round of applause. And now McGee could see what was in the box. Something worth more than silver and gold. Something that people had died trying to get hold of. And it simply was a Bible. And not only that, when he looked deep in the box, he got 10 clubs.